Hi dear students. So in the last session we concluded with biological processing of the solid waste management. So in this session let's look into that in detail. Composting is controlled biological decomposition of organic matter such as food and yard waste into humus. Composting is a natural process of rotting or decomposition of organic matter by microorganisms under controlled conditions. It can be anaerobic and aerobic, and this process takes about 4 to 6 weeks. So let's see the benefits of composting. It provides nutrients to the soil. It increases beneficial soil organisms. It protects soil from erosion and assists pollution remediation. Parameters in composting. Carbon is to nitrogen ratio is 30:1 and ideal moisture content is between 15 to 60%. pH is between 6 to 8 and temperature is between 55 to 75 degrees Celsius, which is a thermophilic range. And the oxygen availability is something between 5 to 15%. Let's see the phases of composting. Initial decomposition is carried out by mesophilic microorganisms which rapidly break down the soluble, readily degradable compounds. As the temperature rises above about 40 degrees Celsius, the mesophilic are replaced by the thermophilic organisms. At temperature of 55 degrees Celsius and above, many microorganisms that are human or plant pathogens are destroyed. During the thermophilic phase, high temperatures accelerate the breakdown of proteins, fats and complex carbohydrates like cellulose and hemicellulose, which are the major structural molecules in plants. Then the temperature gradually decreases and mesophilic microorganisms once again take over for the final phase of curing or maturation of the remaining organic matter. So the phases of composting can be broadly divided into 3 phases. The first one is the mesophilic, the second one is the thermophilic, and third one is the maturation phase. So the composting is a biochemical process in which aerobic and anaerobic microorganism decomposes organic matter into valuable manure called as compost. The two types of microbes which help in composting process are aerobes, which decompose organic matter in presence of oxygen, and anaerobes, which decompose organic matter in the absence of oxygen. So let's see the organisms involved in composting in detail. First one is the bacteria, which are the smallest living organism and the most numerous in compost. They make up 80 to 90% of the billions of microorganisms typically found in a gram of compost. They are responsible for most of the decomposition, heat generation in compost. At the beginning of the composting process, in the range of temperature 0 to 40 degrees Celsius, mesophilic bacteria predominate. It heats up above 40 degrees Celsius. Thermophilic bacteria take over. It is dominated by members of the genus Bacillus. At the highest compost temperatures, bacteria of the genus Thermus dominates. For example, Bacillus brevis and Bacillus subtilis. Next one is the actinomycetes, and examples of actinomycetes include Actinobifida chromogena and Microbispora bispora. Actinomycetes are responsible for the characteristic earthy smell of soil. The organism resemble fungi but actually are filamentous bacteria. They play an important role in degrading complex organics such as cellulose, lignin, chitin, and proteins. Their enzymes enable them to chemically break down tough debris such as woody stems, bark, or newspaper. Some species appear during the thermophilic phase and others become important during the cooler curing phase. Next one is the fungi. They are responsible for the decomposition of many complex plant polymers in soil and compost. They break down tough debris, enabling bacteria to continue the decomposition process once most of the cellulose has been exhausted. Fungal species are numerous during both mesophilic and thermophilic phase of composting. Most fungi live in the outer layer of compost when temperatures are high. For example, Aspergillus fumigatus, Humicola griseae. Next one is the protozoa, which are one-cell microscopic animals. They are found in water droplets and compost but play a relatively minor role in decomposition. Then rotifers, which are microscopic multicellular organisms that is also found in films of water in the compost. They feed on organic matter and also ingest bacteria and fungi. Earthworms. They are the most important of the large physical decomposers in a compost pile. Earthworms ingest organic matter and digest it with the help of tiny stones in the gizzards. The worm leave dark, fertile castings behind. A worm can produce its weight in castings each day. These castings are rich in plant nutrients such as nitrogen, calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus that might otherwise be unavailable to the plants. And this table shows the common microorganisms in compost. Actinomycetes examples include Actinobifida promogena, Microbispora bispora, Micropolyspora femi, Nocardia, Pseudocardia thermophilia, Streptomyces rectus, and so on. Fungi examples include Aspergillus fumigatus, Humicola griseae, Humicola insolens, and the bacteria examples include Alicarigenes picalis, Bacillus brevis, Bacillus circulans complex, Clostridium thermocoelum, E. coli, Flavobacterium, Pseudomonas, Serratia, etc. The overall biological process of composting is like microorganism in the presence of organic matter will provide you with water, carbon dioxide, with the generation of heat and humus. And the three phases under optimal conditions include mesophilic, which will be lasting a couple of days, and the temperature range is around 40 degrees Celsius. And the thermophilic range can last a few days to several minutes. And temperature range is between 55 degrees Celsius to 65 degrees Celsius. And the maturation phase takes several months. Materials required for composting include farm refuses like weeds, double user crop residues, remnants of fodder, hedge clipping, dungs of animals like cow, buffalo, poultry, town refuses like night soil, street refuse, municipal refuse, which means solid waste. Factors involved in composting are feedstock and nutrient balance, particle size, moisture content, oxygen flow, temperature. So what is feedstock and nutrient balance? Composting or controlled decomposition requires a proper balance of green organic materials and brown organic materials. Green organic material includes grass clippings, food scraps and manure, which contain large amount of nitrogen. Brown organic material includes dry leaves, wood chips and branches, which contain large amount of carbon but little nitrogen. Obtaining the right nutrient mix requires experimentation and patience. It is part of the art and science of composting. Next one is the particle size. Grinding, chipping and shredding materials increases the surface area on which microorganisms can feed. Smaller particles also produce a more homogeneous compost mixture and improve pile insulation to help maintain optimum temperatures. If the particles are too small, they might prevent air from flowing freely through the pile. Microorganisms living in a compost pile need enough moisture to survive. Water is a key element that helps transport substances within the compost pile and make the nutrients in organic material accessible to the microbes. Organic material contains some moisture in varying amount, but moisture also might come in the form of rainfall or intentional watering. Oxygen flow. Turning the pile, placing the pile on a series of pipes or including bulking agents such as wood chips and shredded newspaper all help aerate the pile. Aerating the pile allows decomposition to occur at a faster rate than anaerobic conditions. Care must be taken in order not to provide too much oxygen, because it can dry out the pile and impede the composting process. Temperature. Microorganisms require a certain temperature range for optimal activity. Certain temperatures promote rapid composting and destroy pathogens and weed seeds. Microbial activity can raise the temperature of the pile's core to at least 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and if the temperature does not increase, anaerobic conditions occur. Controlling the previous four factors can bring about the proper temperature. There are different types of composting, which includes the on-site composting, vermicomposting, aerated windrow composting, aerated static pile composting, in-vessel composting. On-site composting, organizations that are going to compost small amounts of wasted food can compost on-site. Composting can significantly reduce the amount of wasted food that is thrown away. Yard trimmings and small quantities of food scraps can be composted on-site. Animal products and large quantities of food scraps are not appropriate for on-site composting. Aerated windrow composting. Aerated or turned windrow composting is suited for large volumes such as that generated by entire communities and collected by local governments and high-volume food processing businesses, for example, restaurants, cafeterias, and packing plants. This type of composting involves forming organic waste into rows of long piles called windrows and aerating them periodically by either manually or mechanically turning the piles. The ideal pile height is between 4 and 8 feet with a width of 14 to 16 feet. This size pile is large enough to generate enough heat and maintain temperatures. It is small enough to allow oxygen flow to the windrow's core. Large volumes of diverse waste such as yard trimmings, grease, liquids, and animal byproducts can be composted through this method. Next one is the aerated static pile composting. Aerated static pile composting produces compost relatively quickly, that is within 3 to 6 months. It is suitable for a relatively homogeneous mix of organic waste and work well for larger quantity generators of yard trimmings and compostable municipal solid waste that is generated by local governments, landscapers, or farms. This method, however, does not work well for composting animal byproducts or grease from food processing industries. In aerated static pile composting, organic waste mixed in a large pile. To aerate the pile, layers of loosely piled bulking agents like wood chips are added so that air can pass from the bottom to the top of the pile. Next one is the in-vessel composting. In-vessel composting can process large amounts of waste without taking up as much space as a windrow method, and it can accommodate virtually any type of organic waste that include meat, animal manure, biosolids, and food scraps. This method involves feeding organic materials into a drum, silo, concrete lined trench, or similar equipment. This allows good control of the environmental conditions such as temperature, moisture, and airflow. The material is mechanically turned or mixed to make sure the material is aerated. The size of the vessel can vary in size and capacity. This method produces compost in just a few weeks. It takes a few more weeks or months until it is ready to use because the microbial activity needs to balance and the pile needs to cool. So now let's see the general procedure required for the preparation of compost. Start with a 4 to 6 inch layer of coarse material set on the bottom of the composter or on top of the soil. Add a 3 to 4 inch layer of low carbon material, add a 4 to 6 inch layer of high carbon material, add a 1 inch layer of garden soil or finished compost, mix the layers of high carbon material, low carbon material and soil or compost. Repeat the steps from 2 to 5 until the composting bin is filled, and finally cap with dry material. There are different methods of preparation of compost that is practiced in India, like the Indore method, Bangalore method, NADEP method and the Coimbatore method, and each method differ in their raw materials that is used. Also changes are made according to the climatic and cultural conditions.